Hey, I'm Kelly. If you love cars as much as I do, you're in the right place. From drifting car days to uncovering the world's most iconic rides. Gear up and subscribe to Drive with Kelly for non-stop car fun. Something strange is happening at motorcycle dealerships right now. Walk into a Royal Enfield showroom in London, and there's a 3-month waiting list. Visit one in Sao Paulo, and they can't keep the Interceptor 650 on the floor. In Los Angeles, first-time riders in their 20 seconds are walking past rows of Japanese sport bikes and pointing at a machine that looks like it was designed in 1965. Royal Enfield just sold 1.24 million motorcycles in a single fiscal year. That is more than Harley-Davidson, BMW, Triumph, KTM, and Ducati combined. A brand that a boardroom nearly killed in the year 2000 is now one of the fastest-growing motorcycle companies on the planet. And the real reason why has almost nothing to do with the bikes themselves. In the year 2000, this company was a full disaster. They were selling roughly 2,000 motorcycles a month out of a factory built to produce 6,000. The bikes leaked oil like it was a deliberate design choice. Engine seizures were common. The Sprag clutch carried a 5% failure rate, which is genuinely terrible for the single part responsible for keeping your engine from destroying itself. The board of Eicher Motors looked at the books and reached a perfectly rational conclusion. Shut it down, sell it off, walk away. But one person in that boardroom disagreed. A 26-year-old named Siddhartha Lal, son of Eicher's founder, who had ridden a red Royal Enfield Bullet to his own wedding, asked for a chance to run the motorcycle division himself. He later described his thinking simply. At 26, it seemed like a fun thing to do. What he did next was anything but casual. Lal gutted the company. He consolidated factories, ripped apart quality control, and rebuilt it from scratch. That Sprag clutch failure rate got driven from 5% down to 0.2%. He brought in Austrian engineering firm AVL to design a completely new engine platform. And in one of the boldest moves in modern Indian business, he convinced Eicher to sell off 13 of its 15 businesses to pour everything into Royal Enfield. A 26-year-old convinces a boardroom not to kill the motorcycle division, then proceeds to kill almost everything else in the company to fund it. That is not a turnaround strategy. That is a bet. The Classic 500, launched in 2009 on the new UCE engine platform, was the breakthrough. A retro-styled motorcycle with modern internals that immediately generated 6 to 8 month waiting lists. By 2015, Royal Enfield had quietly surpassed Harley-Davidson in global sales volume, and they have never looked back. The numbers since are staggering. Global registrations hit 1.18 million units in calendar year 2025, up nearly 27% year-over-year. September 2025 saw 124,328 motorcycles leave dealerships in a single month, the highest in company history. Exports surging 49%. Revenue for Eicher Motors hitting roughly $2.3 billion US, with net profit around $560 million, and a market cap exceeding $21 billion. Now look at the other side of the industry. Harley-Davidson's revenue dropped from $4.89 billion in 2022 to roughly $3.6 billion in 2025. North American sales fell to just 89,000 units. The first quarter of 2025 saw global retail sales drop 21%. Their former CEO departed in October 2025 amid what the company called a strategic reset, which is corporate language for, "we have no idea what to do next." And here is the number that should terrify every Harley executive. The median Harley-Davidson rider is now estimated at over 50 years old, up from the mid-30s in the 1980s. Royal Enfield's average buyer age in India is 27. That is not a market trend. That is a demographic cliff for one brand and a gold mine for the other. So what is Royal Enfield actually doing differently? Because affordable motorcycles have always existed. You could always buy a Honda CB300R or a Kawasaki Z400. What separates this brand from all of that? The answer is the most counterintuitive strategy in the motorcycle industry: deliberate restraint. In a market obsessed with horsepower wars and feature escalation, Royal Enfield intentionally limits itself to the 250 to 750cc midweight segment, 3 engine platforms. No supersport bikes, no leader-class rockets, no 200 horsepower machines. Siddhartha Lal has been explicit about this. He has said publicly that motorcycling in developed markets has become extreme in every direction. Extremely heavy cruisers, extremely fast sport bikes, extremely expensive machines. Royal Enfield occupies the non-extreme space, building motorcycles that are evocative without being intimidating, and the pricing makes this philosophy irresistible. The Hunter 350 starts at $4,199. The Himalayan 450 with a liquid-cooled Sherpa engine, Showa suspension, and Brembo-sourced brakes is $5,999. The Interceptor 650 Twin is $6,149. The cheapest Harley cruiser starts at $14,399, or a Kawasaki Z400, $899. The Yamaha XSR 700 is $8,599. The most expensive Royal Enfield in America costs less than half the price of the cheapest Harley. Multiple reviewers have called it 90% of a Triumph Bonneville at 30% of the cost. But price alone does not explain what is really happening. Have you noticed how many people in their 20s are buying vinyl records right now? The US vinyl market hit $1.4 billion in 2024. Roughly 60% of Gen Z has bought vinyl at some point. Film camera sales are surging. Craft everything is booming. There is a massive, measurable cultural movement of young people deliberately choosing analog experiences over digital convenience. Royal Enfield is the motorcycle version of a vinyl record, not a metaphor. A direct parallel. The thumper engine note, the warm air-cooled motor radiating heat through your legs in traffic, the mechanical gearbox that lets you feel every shift. These are not engineering compromises for the people buying these bikes. They are the entire point. One owner described it perfectly. Royal Enfield bikes are like old vinyl records. Imperfect, yet full of soul. That sentiment shows up in every riding forum, every YouTube comment section, every motorcycle meet where a 2-4-year-old parks a classic 350 next to a fully loaded BMW adventure bike and would not trade it for anything. Modern premium bikes have become rolling computers. BMW's latest adventure bikes feature 10.25-inch TFT displays. KTM introduced 8-inch vertical screens. The Honda NT 1100 has nearly 25 buttons spread across its switch cubes. Yamaha pulled their tech-loaded Tracer 9 GT Plus from the US market entirely for $2,025, replacing it with a stripped-down base model for $3,900 less. The message from buyers was clear. We do not want radar cruise control and electronic suspension. Just give us the motorcycle. One comment that went viral in a major motorcycle community said it plainly. I have no interest in any of the new bikes with all the electronic stuff. For me, riding a motorcycle is about riding a motorcycle. Royal Enfield never left that space. While every other brand was stacking screens and sensors and ride modes, Royal Enfield kept building motorcycles that assume the rider wants to actually ride. The pandemic accelerated everything. US motorcycle sales jumped 11% in 2020 and another 14% in 2021. Motorcycle Safety Foundation enrollment surged 48%. Millions of people who had never considered riding suddenly wanted solo outdoor transportation. Royal Enfield was perfectly positioned for every single one of those new riders. Affordable, approachable, not intimidating. The One Ride Global event mobilized 41,730 riders across 66 countries in a single day in 2024. The Himalayan Odyssey, an 18-day expedition through the highest motorable passes in the world, has been running for 20 editions. That is not a marketing campaign, that is a culture. Now let's talk about reliability, because this is the elephant in the room. Older Royal Enfields had a reputation, and not a good one. Pre-2020 bikes were plagued by oil leaks, electrical gremlins, and vibration that would rattle your fillings loose at highway speeds. Some owners documented multiple breakdowns within the first 10,000 miles. But the J-platform engine launched in 2020 with the Meteor 350 introduced a counterbalancer that virtually eliminated the vibration problem. Videos online show the old classic 350 engine sloshing a glass of water dramatically, while the new J-series motor barely creates a ripple. The Sherpa 450 went further as Royal Enfield's first liquid-cooled power plant. A U.S. pre-delivery inspection center in Milwaukee cut initial customer complaints and warranty claims by 90%. And in 2025, J.D. Power ranked Royal Enfield #1 in India's two-wheeler initial quality study with just 68 problems per 100 vehicles, beating Honda and the industry average of 86. Every generation is meaningfully better than the last, and the gap between Royal Enfield and Japanese bike quality is closing faster than anyone expected. 3 factories in the Chennai area, plus a 4th under construction, currently produce 1.46 million units annually, with expansion underway to reach 2 million by fiscal year 2028. A UK technology center at Bruntingthorpe, staffed by 170 engineers from 16 nationalities, including former Triumph and Ducati personnel, handles all global product development. Why is everyone suddenly buying Royal Enfield? It is the simultaneous collision of analog authenticity in an over-digitized world, a generational rejection of complexity in motorcycling, post-pandemic demand for accessible outdoor experiences, the collapse of affordability at traditional premium brands, and a product range that finally backs its emotional promise with real engineering. The same impulse driving a 28-year-old to buy a turntable instead of streaming, to shoot on film instead of using their phone, to choose a local coffee shop over a Starbucks app. Royal Enfield did not suddenly become a great brand. They became the right brand for a cultural moment that simply did not exist a decade ago. With capacity expanding to 2 million units by 2028, an electric platform on the horizon, and 750cc models spotted in testing, the question is not whether Royal Enfield keeps growing. It is whether anyone can catch up before it is too late. If this story surprised you, share it with a riding buddy still on the fence. Drop your model in the comments below, and if you want more videos like this one, subscribe to Drive with Kelly. And if this breakdown changed the way you look at where motorcycling is headed, get a sneak peek at the most hated motorcycles in MotoGP history, which has now popped up on the upper left of your screen.